Donnie Darko is a movie that follows a teenager named Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko? What the hell kind of name is that? It's like some sort of superhero or something.
Donnie Darko is a snarky 16-year-old angsty teenager who has trouble finding his place in the world. When it comes to his family, Donnie is usually bickering with his sister and makes snarky remarks at her at the dinner table.
Will you still be working at the yarn barn? Because I hear that's a really great place to raise children.
That's really funny.
Since Donnie is an intelligent, angsty teen who feels like he's smarter than everybody else, his mouth usually gets him into trouble.
He asked me to forcibly insert the Lifeline exercise card into my anus.
Donnie is smart, which causes him to question a lot, like what's the meaning of life and his purpose. His smarts causes him to partake in more intelligent discussions where they are needed.
Smarts are asexual. They don't even have reproductive organs under those little white pants. This was so illogical, you know?
Damn it, Donnie. Why do you gotta get so smart on us?
Donnie also suffers from schizophrenia, which results in him seeing visions of what he calls
A 6-foot-tall bunny rabbit.
named Frank. One night, Donnie is seen sleepwalking around the house where he eventually leaves and encounters Frank. Frank tells Donnie that the world is going to end in exactly
28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds.
While Donnie is talking to Frank, a jet engine falls into Donnie's house, waking everybody up and forcing them to leave. And Donnie is found lying in a random golf field later that morning with the exact date Frank gave him marked on his arm. After returning to his home, Donnie is told that the jet engine fell directly into his room, and they don't know where it came from. This causes Donnie to question life even more as he goes on. Donnie's brush with death only increases his questions and his desire for answers. Next day at school, there is a new girl in class, and she asks where she should sit. The teacher then tells her to
Sit next to the boy you think is the cutest.
She then proceeds to sit next to Donnie Darko. Driving home from therapy the next day, Donnie and his father almost run into an old lady in the middle of the road. Locals call her Grandma Death, an old woman who is said to always stay in her house or repeatedly check her mail over and over again, even though there's nothing inside it.
Oh, no dice, Grandma. No, sorry. Sorry. Someone ought to write that.
Donnie gets out of the car to make sure she's alright. She whispers something in his ear. Later that night, Donnie wakes up and sees Frank standing in front of him, coercing him to pick up an axe and hit the school's water tank with it, flooding it and also vandalizing it. The next day, the kids find out school is canceled while waiting for the bus.
Holy shit, that's the best news I've ever heard.
Donnie runs into the new girl again, Gretchen Ross, who asks him to walk her home. They're talking. Donnie asks if she would go with him.
You wanna go with me?
Where do you want to go?
I mean, like, go with me, like, you know, like, that's what we call it here. Going together.
Sure.
Donnie is then seen attending his therapy session where the therapist is asked to try hypnosis, but things don't work out as Donnie gets sidetracked rather than talking about Frank. Donnie is using the school bathroom when someone confronts him about the flooding, saying that people are accusing him. Donnie tells him that
Yeah, well, if you're innocent, then you have nothing to worry about, right?
the person then puts a knife to Donnie's neck and tells him that he thinks Donnie did it,
I think you did it.
and pushes him away and walks out. Donnie enters the bathroom where he encounters Frank once again. Frank tells Donnie that
They are in great danger.
and asks him if
Do you believe in time travel?
Who are you talking to?
Donnie's conversation with Frank is cut short by his little sister Samantha.
I was just taking my pill, Sam.
With 20 days left until Frank's countdown is up, Donnie asks his science teacher if they know anything about time travel. The science teacher talks about a theoretical wormhole that can be opened by man based on a Stephen Hawking book. Donnie shows immediate interest and the teacher hands him a book called The Philosophy of Time Travel. Author was Roberta Spera, or Grandma Death as the locals called her. Donnie can't believe that the old senile lady used to be an author. Donnie reveals to the therapist that Grandma Death whispered that every living creature on Earth dies alone. This statement makes Donnie reflect and think about his past. After therapy, Donnie is watching TV and he sees these flowing trails that lead him around the house and eventually lead him into the closet where there is a gun hidden. Donnie ends up taking the gun from the closet. Donnie's parents are having a meeting with the therapist. She tells them about the information she's gathered from their son. While this is happening, Donnie is staring at a mirror with Frank on the other side. Donnie takes multiple stabs at a barrier separating the two, as Frank's right eye starts to distort and shine, as if it's being affected. The next day, there is an assembly being held by the local motivational speaker, Jim Cunningham, about fear. It seems like it's going to be a normal assembly to Donnie, until Jim uses a fictional character named Frank as an example. As soon as Donnie recognizes the name Frank, time starts to move faster.
We're moving through time.
Time skips forward until the end of the assembly where people can ask questions. After 3 kids ask different questions,
My stepsister, like, I sometimes worry
find out what I want to be when I grow up.
What do I do to learn how to fight?
As Donnie chooses to go up where he asks the speaker,
how much are they paying you to be here? Are you telling us this stuff so we can buy your book?
After Jim tells Donnie that he's just afraid and confused, Donnie calls him the Antichrist and is taken out of the assembly. Donnie then decides to visit Grandma Death again after he reads the book and finds out that things in the book have been matching what he's been saying, but she doesn't answer the door and just watches them and walk away. Donnie is then seen talking to the science teacher about time travel again, as if they were a real thing that could occur.
Fear that comes out of your chest.
Sure. Yeah.
The science teacher refuses to answer any more questions because he could lose his job. After school, Donnie walks home where he encounters a wallet on the ground that is owned by Jim Cunningham in front of a nice house that Donnie notices. While looking at the house, he then hears Frank's voice that says,
Now you know where he lives.
Donnie takes Gretchen to the movies where she falls asleep and Donnie ends up seeing Frank in the seat next to her.
Why are you wearing that stupid bunny suit?
Why are you wearing that stupid man suit?
Donnie asks Frank to remove the mask, and he does. It turns out to be a boy with a bloody eye socket. Frank then tells Donnie to look at the movie screen and asks him if he's ever seen a portal, as a portal appears. Then followed by the words from Frank, "Burn it to the ground." Donnie leaves and returns to Jim Cunningham's home where he douses the house with gasoline and burns it to the ground. While a dance show his little sister is in, hosted by Jim, is happening. As the show ends and the house burns, Donnie returns to the movie theater where Gretchen wakes up at the end and they leave. The next morning, firefighters discovered child pornography in Jim Cunningham's basement and took him to jail. Donnie sees this on the local news and smiles. Donnie's little sister, Samantha Darko's dance team, won the dance show and was invited to perform in Los Angeles. Donnie's father, mom, and little sister are putting their belongings in a van so they can go to the airport and fly to Los Angeles. Donnie visits his therapist and is under hypnosis again. He tells her that he burned down Jim's house, that Frank is going to kill, and the sky is going to open up. She snaps him out of it and tells him to stop taking his medication because they're placebos. With only one day remaining, Donnie enters the kitchen where his sister tells him she got into Harvard, and Donnie says they should throw a Halloween party. During the party, there's a message left by the therapist telling the mom to call her back because it's important, but nobody is there to answer. Gretchen arrives at the party along with Donnie's friend, but Donnie and Gretchen go up to his room. Downstairs, Donnie's sister is asking for a person named...
Have you seen Frank? No, I think they said they were going on a beer run.
Donnie's mom is also leaving a message saying that they are taking a flight back and will be home around 8. Donnie is led to the fridge by the trails, where he sees "Frank was here" written on a marker board. He also sees another one coming right at him. Once this trail hits him, he sees flashes of different events that he pieces together as the answer on how to time travel. He is then seen on his knees and gets up to tell Gretchen and his friends that they need to go to Grandma Death's house and that time is running out. Donnie and his friends race to the house. Once Donnie and his friends get to the house, they find a cellar door and open it. They explore inside until they are eventually grabbed by bullies and taken outside of the cellar. One of the bullies throws Gretchen on the floor and knock her out for a second. The other bully pins down Donnie with a knife and asks him why is he here. But everyone sees a car coming and starts to disperse except for Donnie, the bully with the knife, and Gretchen. Gretchen starts to wake up. The car swerves to avoid Grandma Death and runs over Gretchen. The car stops and the bully with the knife runs. Donnie runs to the side of Gretchen. A kid in a clown costume comes out of the passenger side, and a kid named Frank wearing a bunny costume comes out of the driver's side. Donnie sees the kid named Frank. Frank asks Donnie,
What were you guys doing in the middle of the road, huh?
Donnie stares at Frank and shoots him in the eye. Donnie then looks at the kid in the clown costume and tells him,
Go home! Go home and tell your parents everything's gonna be okay!
Grandma Death tells Donnie that the storm is coming and they have to leave. The next morning, Donnie puts Gretchen in the car and says goodbye to his sister by kissing her on the forehead while she's asleep. Before getting in the car and leaving, Donnie has a bad feeling in his stomach and looks up to see a wormhole opening up. He gets in the car and leaves. Donnie watches the wormhole as everything falls into place. The plane Donnie's mom is on starts to experience turbulence as the jet engine falls off the plane and into the wormhole. The next shot is Donnie laughing in his room on that fatal night. Donnie knows that his role is to sacrifice himself to bring the object back home to where it belongs, and that it had to be done to save the world and everybody he loves. He rolls over and falls asleep as the jet engine crashes into his room. We see different people saddened by the news and others who seem to remember bits and pieces. We then see Donnie's family who are mourning the loss of their son.
Donnie Darko. the hell kind of name is that? It's like some sort of superhero or something.
What makes you think I'm not?